audiences. Thank you so much for joining me and Dave again for Pursuit of Truth. And I'm hoping that those watching, those tuning in, watching this now, and those on a playback will be able to resonate with some of the things about this public conversation. So thank you so much, Dave, for joining me again today.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. So I want to get stuck straight in.
Sure.
Why do human beings ignore all the obvious similarities and yet still stay divided? Like, why is it that some pigmentation differences, a little bit of differences in hair, a little bit of differences in culturally upbringing, fundamentally keeps us so apart?
Well, there's a couple of things that a couple of misconceptions here. We're not meant to be together. I'm just going to put that out there. We're not meant to be together. There were several nations of people, and those nations were given land allocations, separate from each other. And there were curses associated with, people given one land mass or one geographical area moving to another one. That was forbidden. It still is. Right. It's the law doesn't change. So there were
the people do, the laws don't, in that sense.
Exactly. But it's only a new age and a New Testament idea that everyone should be together and we're all one and all that. We're not all one. As you said, there are differences in different nations. It's not about race. It's not about race. It's not about skin color. It's about nation. And the people at the top know what nation they belong to, and they know what other, who the other nations are as well. But we've been brought into this new age idea that, we're all one, we're all the same. We're all the same. We're not all the same. There are humans here and there are non-humans here. Yeah. There are human hybrids here, masquerading as humans. Okay. And if you can't grasp that fact, then you're never going to understand what's going on in this world. All those fairy tales of vampires and half human creatures. They're not just fairy stories. That they have a basis in fact. And you can go to the controlled opposition of David Icke and hear about his lizards. Again, it's a fairy story, but it's got a basis in fact. You're not going to see humans shape-shifting into lizards. You might look at somebody and get this overwhelming feeling of non-human. But that's not them. And to you, it might seem like a shape-shifting type thing. But no, they are literally a different bloodline, a different type of being to you, and to some respect we know this because a psychopath knows he's not the same as everyone else, and psychopathy came in with this bloodline. So these people who are psychopaths, real psychopaths, they know they're not human. They don't have the same mental and emotional capacity that humans have. Right. And they can mimic it, they can pretend to be, and they're very good at pretending to be human, but they're not, and they know it. It's as I said, if you don't get that there are two sorts of people here, you're never going to understand. And the Old Testament also tells you, even in the first chapters of the book, there were two sets of people being created. Adam was the second lot of people. That were, he's a second person that was created. There were people who were created before Adam. So right there in the book that they're not all human. Humans descend from Adam. There are other people who descend from those people who were around before. Then you've got the fallen angels who injected their DNA into I'm not even sure which people they injected their DNA into. I think they injected into the others who also allied with Cain. So there was some human-ish DNA in
Element
there as well.
there. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but this is the thing. We're given a story about humanity evolving, you know, from a common ancestor. So we're all literally from that story. We're all the same. We're not. We're definitely not. And that's the thing. And it doesn't sound all, you know, nice and fuzzy and fluffy and all that, because, you know, I'm not giving this we're all one, we're all the same, everyone's, you
No,
know,
but
we've only one race,
the
you know.
truth is the truth regardless, and we shouldn't be afraid of it. What
Right.
we should be concerned about is just finding out what the truth is, regardless of where that takes us, if that makes sense. I'm
Yes.
completely open to wherever the truth is going to take me. I don't have any preconceived thoughts about where I'm going to end up with regards to the information I'm going to come across. I'm just very open to whatever it is going to be, as long as it's the truth.
Well, that's where it comes back into the right to travel, because, you know, we've been restricted in our movements. You know, so we're placed in certain places and restricted in our movements because you know, parts of this world are essentially just prison camps. They're concentration camps.
Labor prison camps.
Yes,
Slavery
exactly.
didn't die, they just renamed it. They just stopped
Exactly.
whipping people and called them employees and gave them more perks. They
Yep.
just realized they were going to have to adapt.
So as a being born on this earth, you have the right, you have the inalienable right to travel anywhere on this earth that you so choose. Just like a bird is, you know, born in a tree in Essex.
And if it wants to fly to Egypt, it can. If it wants to land on the pyramid, it can.
It can go wherever it
Or
wants.
will it be
yeah?
arrested, Dave? Will it be apprehended and arrested and taken to a cell? And
If
people are going to be like, right, Pigeon, give us some answers, man. What are you doing here? How did you get here? How did you get the money to fly over here? How did you get the time off work? And what are you doing here? How long are you staying for?
If this
Where are you
system had
staying?
its way, yes, it would. Yeah.
Even in Australia, would they stop it in customs and say, did you bring any peanuts from Taiwan?
Yep.
Be honest.
Exactly.
Be honest. Did you bring any fruits? Because we don't want them in here. Don't secrete anywhere, because you've been in the Philippines. We don't want you secreting in Australia like they do in the. I've seen the customs shows. They're raw. Have you seen the baggage shows for Australia
No,
where
I
they
haven't.
open up the people's bags?
No.
Peak.
But you know, bringing when you actually bring your attention to it like that, yeah, that's when it starts to look ridiculous. Yeah. This, how can a bird, you know, or
Be liable for
chipmunk, you know,
customs.
yeah,
It's not happening.
if I invented a pogo stick, okay, a really cool pogo stick which effortlessly allowed you to travel for hundreds of miles, yeah, and yeah, it's a nice way of traveling around on by pogo stick, yeah. So I'd give you this pogo stick, and you go, oh, this is great, and you can go all over the country on this pogo stick. Well, as soon as a few more people get on this pogo stick, yeah, you know, a pogo stick, you can go anywhere. Nobody's going to stop you. You know, you're just on a pogo stick, right? You know, as soon as a whole bunch of people start using this pogo stick to actually move around, yeah, effortlessly, that's when regulation will come in. And now you're going to have to get insurance for your pogo stick. And now you're going to have to get tax.
You might have to
be
take a
taxed
few
on it.
lessons, or you might
You're
not be
going to
able
have
to
to
go on one
take
because health
lessons,
and safety, Dave.
and you have to get a license now
have a
to ride
crash.
your pogo stick. Yes.
Are you going to wear a helmet? You might have to wear a helmet and pads. We might not be able to let you do it without helmet and pads.
And if the pogo stick now doesn't meet the requirements that they make up, then you won't be allowed to use pogo.
I'm going to arrest you if I catch you doing anything that is not in the rule books.
You now have to take your pogo stick to a garage every year and make sure it meets the requirements that they made up.
Yeah.
So you imagine, you can see how
all for a
stupid
pogo
it is.
stick.
You can see how stupid it is. Somebody invented this this, you know, wheeled vehicle, and exactly the same as this pogo stick, and a few people used it, and now they've cracked down on it, so now they can regulate how you use it, and regulate how you travel, and restrict how you travel. Now when you get
Same with
yourself,
the drones as well. You can't just fly your drone anywhere you want now over a certain height.
they're
You get
starting
arrested for that too.
they're starting to crack down and regulate that, so it restricts your ability to do things.
Mm.
So when you're like
You watch when they
16,
stop
17,
you on that Segway.
yeah, that,
You'll
it's
get
coming,
stopped
it's
on that.
coming,
You'll
it's
get. They'll
coming.
tell you you can't do it. It's
Yeah,
illegal. It's
even though
illegal.
it's not. There's nothing against it. Anyway, so when you're 16 or 17 or something, yeah,
Hmm.
and you decide you want to start driving a
Hmm.
car and traveling around in a car,
Yeah.
um, well, the first thing you do is you go and get your license.
Yeah. Get your provisional.
So,
Yep.
but why? Why do you go and get your license? It's only because everyone else has got a license.
And if
So,
we don't, the police will arrest us when they catch us without one.
right, but again, it's just ideas that tell you,
Hmm.
well, I think I ought to get a license.
Hmm.
But again, you have the right to travel in any way you see fit, right? But you can give up that right, voluntarily give up that right. So when you get a driving license, most people think that license is a,
Giving them a right.
well, it's a certificate of competency
Hmm.
for operating that
Yeah.
car. Yeah. So they think it's a certificate of competency,
Hmm.
but when have you ever got a certificate of competency where you sign it, not the person who's testing you to see if you're competent? Right? Normally, you get a certificate. Somebody is saying, "I certify that that person can operate this car," but instead you sign it. So what you're actually doing when you sign that driving license is that you're waiving your natural right to travel. Uh,
You're
um,
taking on, you're submitting to the regulatory ways of their rights.
yes, you're accepting a benefit privilege of being something called a driver. Okay, um, but the point is, you're not. Most people
Wow.
aren't drivers. They're not drivers. Driving, if you look up in a couple of legal dictionaries, you'll
Yeah.
find a driver is somebody who is employed to do commerce on the road, yeah, to buy and sell on the road. You just have to look at some of the words
Like
like
you said, it's
traffic.
like their trickery.
Yes, look at the word traffic again. Yeah, you think of the word in a kind of normal everyday uh, sort of setting.
Yes.
Traffic seems to mean lots and lots of cars on the road,
Yeah.
right? But think of that word in a legal setting, a legal or commercial setting. Trafficking. Trafficking is buying and selling.
Yes.
So the Road Traffic Act is the Road Commerce Act. It doesn't apply to you unless you're acting in commerce on the road. So you automatically think, oh, Road Traffic Act, well, that applies to me. No, it doesn't. If you're not a taxi driver, if you're not a bus driver, if you're not actually making money on the roads, then you're not a driver. A driver is a fictional entity. Remember that? Fictional entities. Yeah.
Mm.
It's a fictional entity created by government. Now, if you think of it, okay, you as a man or a woman, you are one step below the creator. So there's the creator, there's you. Underneath us, we create government. Okay? Government creates fictional entities. So driver, taxpayer, resident, occupier, all these fictional characters. Okay,
Mm.
so you are way above those fictional entities, right? But as soon as you identify or make yourself the same as a
You go right to
driver,
the bottom of the rung.
you go.
Yeah.
You've given up your right up
Yeah.
here, your inalienable right
You're
to
at the
travel
bottom
anywhere
rung
you want.
again of the
You're now
system.
down below
Yep.
government,
Yep.
okay? And now you have to follow the rules and regulations that are applied to this driver thing, yeah? But you're not a driver. You're not making money. When you go to the shops in your car or you go, take the kids to school or something,
Mm.
you're not making money on the road. You're not acting in commerce on the road,
Yeah.
yeah? But because we're ignorant and you know, the police are they're ignorant
Yeah.
too, but they trap you into consenting to
Yeah.
say I am a driver, then you don't know. It's like if you've got yourself a fishing license, yeah, and you're walking through the park next to the lake, and you've got a stick in your hand you're messing around with, yeah, and the policeman comes along and says, okay, you know, there's no fishing here, and you're fishing. And he said, well, no, I'm not. You've got a fishing license, haven't you? Yes, I do. But I'm not fishing. You know, I'm just standing here with a stick. Yeah. But you know, they've got you for fishing when there's no fishing ordinance in.
Exactly. And that's the issue I've got with some of the people that live off grid up in Alaska. They live on the Yukon River. They live on their own land. They've got hundreds of acres of land. They've had that land from their father's father's father. And they talk about back when they first landed in the area, and they brought the trade and whatnot, and they've been given the land from then, and they've worked the land ever since, and they've had their children there and whatnot. But yet they can only fish on the Yukon for a certain amount of months a year, because if they don't, they'll get arrested. So wait, you just live slightly more out of town then. And I don't mean that in a rude way. Yeah, it takes them a day and a half to get to their nearest city, but it's like, so all you did was put a day and a half in between you and the visible infrastructure. That's all you did. You still live within that same infrastructure, because what happens when you're watching them film and something goes wrong, they panic because they're X amount of hours away from the nearest hospital. Oh, so you still have medical insurance, so you still are buying into the infrastructure in some way, shape, or form. Like, so it's like they get you. They've got all of these little fail safes that, yeah, even if you do decide to walk away, you're probably still going to need the machinery. If you do want to
Mm-hmm.
walk away, you're probably still going to need emergency medical assistance if you break your leg or get attacked by a bear. You're going to kind of need, like, they kind of go by, but we're not worried because you still need us. Adios. See you later. See you later. Not going to be goodbye forever. It's just see you later when you need something. And you'll be
Which
back.
is
You'll be back in town with your produce that you've killed out in your land, whether it's meat, and you're going to come back into town and you're going to sell the meat. And with the money that you've sold the meat with, you're going to buy more fuel to run the quad that you use to go and get your horses back in, or whatever it is, or the boat that you use to go across the water, whatever it is. But you still bought into the system in which they've got us hook, line, and sinker.
yes, and you know, from my point of view, I've removed myself as much as I possibly can.
I feel that's all we can do, right? Is just
But
do what we can and to remove ourselves to a comfortable distance where we go, this is copable.
yeah, I mean, some of these benefits, you know, I can't get away from. You know, I do have to try and travel across, you know, to other places. So,
Yeah.
when you haven't got a passport, you're not actually fighting the government to get across. You're fighting the bod at passport control who says, "Sorry, I can't let you through,"
Yeah.
and that's it. You can't go.
Yep.
Yeah. But so there's no escape from
There is
it.
no get round for some of these things that are in the system while this system still stands.
Right. But to escape from it as much as possible is to not want any as many of the benefits as you can. If you can, you know, just give up the so-called benefits, because
Yeah.
most of the time these benefits aren't benefits, they're liabilities.
No.
And the point is, essentially, if you take any of the benefits, you have to take the liabilities along with it.
Yeah.
So if you want to do your best to escape it, you have to give up on as many of these benefits
For
as you
me, it
can.
comes down to accountability as well. If I buy into it, I'm accountable for it. So I keep analogizing things to my upbringing, Dave. I can't not. Like at one point in my mum's life, she was a model and she managed to get herself elevated to, back in the day, whatever the equivalent was for a supermodel. And she was incredibly incensed by the amount of people that wore fur. And I'm only using this as an analogy because I feel it's a good one. It's one I go to a lot. And she used to say, there's nothing we're going to be able to do about the fur coats that have already been made. The best thing that you could probably do is do it justice and look after it and not burn it and make it a waste. Keep yourself warm. Like if you're going to use it for warmth, Don't use it for fashion, use it for warmth. But even my mum used to say very early on in the 80s, and I must have been maybe 5, 6 or time, that to carry on buying into it is going to perpetuate it. And my mum didn't say anything different from anyone else at the time that was against it. And when those models trailblazed that paint down the catwalk and showed people, look, how long is this going to carry on for? How long are we going to buy into this and keep buying into the fact that this is happening? And no, it's not gone away by any shape or form. I'm only using it as an analogy. When I'm trying to go and navigate through my life, like, I'm not buying cow's milk from the supermarket anymore because I'm not going to buy into it. I, as an individual, don't want to buy into that anymore. I, as an individual, don't want to go into Sainsbury's and buy chicken breasts for £3.25 anymore. Not doing it. So I know if I carry on consuming it, I'm doing my bit for them carrying on doing it. I don't need to become a vegan, and I'm saying this just for unbiased reasons. For those that are not vegan that are watching and you want to carry on eating meat, I beg you, just stop buying it from the supermarket, please, and go to a sustainable farm, probably out of town, that when the beef runs out, it runs out until next month, until they kill the next sustainable bit of animals that's on the actual farm that you're on, that you're standing in. And you go and buy your stuff from source. I think that's maybe the most general way I can say it, in the most clean environment possible, because what you have to understand is, in my eyes, where I live underneath the south runway of Heathrow Airport. Okay, the best I can do is go to an awesome place called Garson's Farm. Check it out. They're down the A3, just past Claygate. Lovely little place. But hear what? They're still dealing with all the air pollutants that I'm dealing with, even though it's no GMO stuff that's going on there. They're underneath the Heathrow bit, same way I am. I mean, I don't have measurements to go out into my garden and tell you exactly what's in my air. Just judging from what's on the cars outside the house. And I live right next to Richmond Park. So I live in a pretty rural part of London, and yet there's kids walking around with masks on. There's a lot of the little kids have got these Hello Kitty ones now, like kiddie design ones with Batman and stuff. And they're all walking with their rucksacks with masks on because they're walking next to cars that are sat in nose to tail traffic. And you've got mummies pushing the buggies that are all. So I'm saying, in whatever way you can, try and go to source, or do it yourself. If you can, do it yourself. Even if you've got a little garden. I went to a wonderful lady called Kimmy Spreadborough. She's got an awesome setup in her greenhouse. She's got tomatoes. She's got a small selection of bits and pieces to do in what way she can to stop buying into it. And I think the more of us that can do our 2 cents worth of stopping buying into it will make it a future trend. Because I do feel like when I go to my local high street, I'll be honest with you, 5 years ago, it was Domino Pizza, Tennessee Fried Chicken, Morley's, McDonald's, Burger King, the 2 kebab shops, because there's never always just one, there's like 2 kebab shops. Right, on my high street now, it's like there's a vegan one, there's a vegan restaurant, there is like a rustic type of ancient type of food place. Everything's all kind of coming away from that, let's get you your chicken and chips in 2 minutes. There's a lot of places that are now offering, they don't offer the norm. It's, do you want it with quinoa? Do you want it with bulgur wheat? Do you want it with this? We're doing this, we're doing rustic, we're doing raw. Even when I go to the place that my daughter gets her hair done in Notting Hill, just that place in the last 15 years has changed instinctively. There definitely is a future trend. We're trying to become more conscious. And I feel if we can try and use that to the truth's advantage of exposing factory farming and all of the heinous things that are going on internationally to perpetuate the system that we're living in, because it kind of keeps the humdrum going, doesn't it?
But
that's people eating Iceland food 7 days a week.
But that situation doesn't last for very long, because if these healthy foods start gaining popularity, as they are, what happens is companies like Nestle and Monsanto,
emulate
whatever.
It.
No, they buy the company.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day,
that's what's going to happen with that Beyond Meat company. See that new company Beyond Meat that does this whole non-meat burgers and non-meat products. I was only saying it to a couple of people the other day that we're going to get into a stage where they mass produce that, and then you have to wonder about what they're putting
Yes, that's what happens. They'll get that non-meat company, and then they'll start putting shit in it, so it'll poison you in some other way.
Correct.
As I said, it's about our duty really at this point is to try and break away from this satanic system as much as possible. Previously, you had independent people, little shops that would do things naturally and properly. But they've been taken over by these corporations that are now funneling all the food that you eat comes through them. Yeah, so they control it. They control what you end up eating. So anything that they put out is going to be crap. Even if it's labelled as really nice and everything and really healthy, and no,
That's why I
it's going to
think
be
unless you
crap.
can go to source, I don't really feel like you're going to be able to vouch very much, if at all, if any, for what you're eating and what you're consuming. I have a big gripe with water. I have, because I know as I'm getting older, I feel like my body is like shriveling up like a raisin. Like I'm getting dehydrated, and no matter how much water I'm drinking, it's not helping. It's like whatever's in whatever water I'm drinking, it's not doing it.
Well, you need to get distilled.
Yeah, I just need to get. I've heard about 5 people recommend different distillers, and I need like someone needs to do like a witch review of
Well, I'll tell you right
distillers.
now, it's very simple.
Cool.
Yeah, it's very simple actually. If you look at all these distillers out there,
Yeah.
okay, there's one that is around about 50 quid. Okay, all the others are around about 200 quid. Okay,
Why are they so expensive?
well, this is the thing.
And what's this? Is
Most
it Kengan or Keegan or
Well, no,
Kagan water
forget all
or
that stuff. Forget all that pagan water or
Kagan?
ionized water, all that.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
get a water distiller. Most of them are around about the £200 mark. In fact, that's the one I've got. It's around 200 quid. But you'll find one of them is 50 or 60 quid. Okay. Now, my mum ended up buying one of these 50 quid ones, yeah. And I thought, oh no, Mum, you've just been done. It's going to be crap. But it turns out it's quieter, it's faster, it
Really?
uses up less electricity, and it's only 50 quid.
Wow. Okay,
Um,
you're gonna have to try and send me a link for that so I can share that with
but
everyone watching as well.
if you
Because I,
start
I
searching,
think that sounds like it's
for it,
in the kind of budget remit I can work with. 50 quid. I can work with that.
right? But if you start searching for them, you'll see the difference. You'll see most of
Okay.
them are around about 200, and you'll see this one. It's usually a big white one, with a big square button on
Okay.
the front or something.
Okay.
But it's going to be like, I'll say Head and Shoulders, but it's going to be different from price wise to all the others.
Awesome.
And it turns out to be better than the one I've got.
Oh wow. Well, that is one thing I definitely feel I'm at the junction of now because I've tried everything else and nothing else seems to be working. So now that you've given me a recommendation for something that I can afford, I'm now going to go for it because I couldn't afford £200-300 water distillers. I'm just like, isn't there a DIY thing I can do? Like, so all I've really been doing is alkalining my spring water. That's all I've been able to do. I've not been drinking government. I haven't really messed with government juice in more than half a decade. I'm actually cheesed off. I still have to bathe in it, to be honest with you. I don't like showering in it. Doesn't
Unfortunately,
please
though,
me. I feel like I undo all the goodness when I shower in it. It's like,
well, you are because hot water makes your pores open,
yes,
and that lets all the stuff, all the crap that's in the water, get into your pores.
yeah.
But when you're drinking, government sources or government approved sources, from plastic bottles, you only have to look at what Evian water, okay, and spell the word backwards, and it tells you all you need to know. You're gonna have to write it out, eh? What does it say?
Naive.
Naive. It's not an accident. No accident. Yeah. You do realise when they choose product names, yeah, there's a whole panel of people and they discuss it backwards and forwards. Yeah. It's no accident. They're laughing at us. Okay. Evian is probably just tap water with extra shit added. Yeah.
I'm glad I
Now
don't
the
drink that. I'm actually glad I don't drink that. Past. What's happening now is proving what's happened in the past. Maybe I've got that in the past proves future. That's it. The past is proving future. And I feel that even when you look back a few years at the content that you've made, it's like, no, it's happening now. Like you said, you've gone back to places and people gone, ha, mad that. All that stuff you were talking about, kind of happening, Dave. And that's what I mean when I'm saying like you're a little bit ahead of your time, but not, you weren't. You were just ahead of a lot of the masses that were still in the process of coming out of a sleepy haze. Like I equate it to like alpha beta state. It's like everyone else is in an alpha beta state 9 and you're popping your head out of 6 going, can you guys hurry up and get to 7 because I'm moving on to 5 and 4 now. Come on. And everyone's now almost getting there and going, wait, I can just see you on the horizon there. What was it you were saying last year? And it's like, oh.
I think I was lucky because I think I've been guided actually.
I believe that.
There was no way I was meant to get to America in the first place because I was trying to get to America. You know, I wanted to go to live in America at one point. You know, I said I want to go there, and I tried to get, consciously tried to get there, and I was blocked at every turn. They said, have you got money? I said, no. Have you got a degree in something? No. Have you got a special skill? No. You know, all these things. I said, no. And they said, well, sorry, there's no way you can get to live in America. And then like a year and a half later or a couple of years later, I was there. I was living there. And I was like, how did I get here? Yeah. And while I was there, I ended up at all the major events that have shaped the world, for this last
it's like you were there
decade.
To bear witness. It was like you were there to bear witness firsthand to the madness that was about to ensue, even though you weren't mentally knowing that was going to happen.
Yes, and part of it is to have the whole system break itself down to me, reveal itself to be false, and so it's this whole journey I've been on has been just driving me away from this system.
That's the one thing that is very real, and I've spoken to you about it at Speaker's Corner in the past. I feel that no matter what I'm trying to do, I'm being taken down a path that regardless of how much I try and steer left from it or steer right from it, I'm brought back to it and I'm going the way it's going regardless of what I do. And what I mean by that is it's like it's already written out for me to be involved and do the things that I'm doing. And that's what resonates with me as you say that. It's like you consciously try and do things and then you end up going, here I am. How did I get here? This is not what I intended. This is not what I set out to do in the first place. Yet here I am.
I got here anyway,
Yeah, and all I can say for that is that it has to be the Most High. And I don't want to label that like a person. When I'm saying the Most High, I'm not talking about some guy up in the clouds. I'm talking about whatever it is. And I don't even like to use, because I know I'm confined with the language I have to use. I have to use words like it and the or force. I have to use some kind of words, and I can't be conscious of words I don't know of. And I have to say this. I have to give a shout out to John Smith Globe Live for this, because it feels like an original thought. As soon as I start thinking about what the Most High may be, and I don't mean a person, I mean what designed all this. How did this all become what it is? Not only does my brain hurt, I start going into the realms of, well, that's an original thought. And how can I have an original thought? How can I personally have an original thought? A completely original thought, unless it's been given to me. And I don't profess to have had any original thoughts. I'm just saying things that are not to, when you kind of go, how would I know to do that? Or how would I know to even think or go down that road? I don't even claim that to be original. But it's so far from where I'm supposed to be in my mind that I have got no other explanation for it other than this is supposed to be the case then. And I'm happy with that. That's fine.
Yeah, well, I've got a couple of explanations.
I've stopped talking because I feel like I started sounding crazy there. I don't know how to convey what I'm trying to say. And it feels like it comes out like gobbledygook.
It's the only way to describe it as a voice,
A driving force.
Yeah.
Maybe. But again, it's the language. I don't even like the language you use. It's like I'd rather just sit here and go, there's the thoughts, Dave, take them. Because they don't Isn't there languages that are far
I
more
just
descriptive than this? Where it's
I
just,
was just talking to you before I was talking to you before we started that
yeah,
you know that I just did this language talk,
yeah,
and
yeah.
one of the things that I tell people about is that, you know, if you think in words, yeah,
Hmm.
and this is what we do now, we think in words, in terms of words. If you restrict the language, if you restrict the words, then you restrict your thoughts. You can't think, you know, just as you were saying, you were trying to put things into words, but there weren't any words, so you can't actually think
It
those
feels like,
thoughts.
you know, when you're a kid and you've
Mm,
got this the triangle, the square, and the circle, and you've got the little
yeah.
wooden block, and you've got to try and push the shapes through.
Mm,
Well, here I have this word called it, or the, or that, something that
hmm
describes something, something. And I've got to try and push that word through. But by the time it comes out the other side, wow, it's mincemeat. It doesn't
mm.
deliver what I'm fully trying to convey. And that's exactly what I just feel like they're handcuffs. But as soon as you're awake, the handcuffs are absolutely visible because you go, "Oh, I now consciously understand so much more, but I can't convey any of it. I
Right.
don't speak that language. I don't
Well,
understand that language. And is that talking in tongues? I don't understand. I don't know. Blah, blah, blah. And that's what I'm trying to
yeah.
say.
Well, it's at risk of giving away some of my talk
And
that
this is
I'm about
tea,
to put
not
out.
alcohol. I'm not
Hmm
drunk or anything, guys. I'm not slurring my words or trying to sound crazy on purpose.
So, you know, at risk of giving away some of my talk, I'm going to probably try and do a video on soon.
Good.
Um, I included a section from a talk by Terence McKenna. I don't know
All
if
right.
you, yeah, know Terence McKenna. Now, he said, and he put it. This guy's great. He puts things in such an amazing way that you can listen to him like a dozen times and walk
Hmm.
away each time with something new.
Oh,
Um,
great.
but he describes the process of, you know, you can imagine a baby in a crib,
Yeah.
okay, and the window's open and a hummingbird comes in, okay. Now to that baby, it's a miracle. You know, it's this amazingly iridescent coloured bird that's hovering and making darting movements, and it's just this miracle, this wonderful, amazing event. And then the mother comes in and said, "Oh, that's a bird." And now that whole amazing, wondrous event has been sort of categorized
Reduced.
down into
Yeah.
this word.
Box
Yeah,
into a shape
yeah,
to put through.
and
Yeah.
that word does not describe the experience. It's just
Yeah.
this bland label that
Correct.
includes all the other birds
Absolutely.
and literally um, by the time you get a kid gets the age of 7 or so, the whole of his reality has been reduced to this set of words, and we interact with the words, not the reality anymore. And that's where you lose that childlike wonder that
Mm,
you have about the world, because now everything's reduced into these words and we interact with the words, not the things.
mm,
So
mm,
and I go on to say that now, you know, once you've reduced your reality down to words, now the words control what you perceive of reality. And the people who created the language, well, now they can modify the language and
mm.
thereby modify your reality, because you filter your reality through this layer of words. Does that make any sense?
Yes, yes, it does. It does. It kind of chimes back with me saying mince meat. In my head, I'm seeing it. It kind of just, by the time it's come through,
It just means you can't think of it properly because you don't have the words to
to convey it,
actually convey it.
convey it. Yeah,
Right? So you
yeah.
can't, but you can't even convey it to yourself
No,
properly.
and that's the bit. It's almost like it stays. You can, in my mind, it's like I could, while I'm in the word realm, it's gobbledygook. If I keep it in my head in pictorial form, in visualization forms where I visualize it, like you said, the bird coming in and I see the colors and I see all of this and I see it all, I can see it all, I just can't say it.
Right?
And I feel like a
Because
baby not knowing how to speak
you lack the
language.
language.
That's it.
Now,
Like you said, it's almost there on the tip of your tongue to be able to go, oh, I know how to, I just need to go, bleh. Now you've
mhm.
got it. Or I need to go,
amazing thing that Terence McKenna said, which again lit up some light bulbs, was that he said that when you take a psychoactive drug like cannabis or something like that, yeah,
Yeah.
you start that experience you have is you thinking in pictures again. So that's why you get all this stuff and all this amazing experience and amazing understandings that once you come out of it, you can't really convey it to anybody because now you're thinking
Is that a
in
little bit
real
like in that
terms.
movie with Jodie Foster in Contact? You know, when she comes back and they go,
Mm-hmm.
"You only went for a few seconds." She's like, "What did you see?" And she's like, well, she didn't do it like that, but it was like she was like, "Wait, how do I say all that now?
Yeah,
How do I say?"
how can I collapse this amazing amount of experience
Yeah,
into these
sentences.
bland grey words?
Yeah.
You know?
And you saw the look of despair on her face of there's absolutely the only way I would have been able to convey that to you is by showing you visually on that recording. And if you're saying that recording is just showing static, we're fucked. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna have to hold that. And
Mm.
I didn't mean to swear there, but it's like unless you can just tap into my mind and get it out, we're gonna need to come out of the shackles of this language, and we're gonna need to move on and progress to something that's more tangible.
Well, when I put this video out, it's different from all the other videos that I put out in as much as I don't have the answer. I don't have the solution to this. I don't even have that one thing that is on the tip of my tongue that
Like the thread.
I know that's really
Yeah.
profound about it,
Yeah.
that will almost change everything. I
Yeah.
don't have that, but perhaps when I put out all this information, link all these things together, it
Yeah.
might spur somebody else out there to go,
Like you said, like sharing
ah,
information, this is how we're going to grow as we the
yeah.
people. We the people need to keep on conferring and having open conversations and interacting with one another because eventually the truth will spew out somewhere, but it's only going to happen in a humdrum of human activity with people going back and forth without egos, just leaving
Mm,
them at the door and going, right, let's two humans interact on information looked at, informed opinions on things, and find some kind of middle ground so that something new can come out of it and go, right, now we've got something else tangible to work with. Because that's probably where you've gone on your journey. Various different stops that you've gone, you've logged that and logged this, and then you've had to go back to something a year later. It's something else you've looked at and gone, oh, hold on, that correct. And that's how it happens.
it's all connected.
Yeah,
Every one bit of this is all connected,
I feel that
and
too.
I find how my mind works is
Yeah,
that I'll have all these little bits of information just sitting
right.
there, just whirling around in a bit that I call my cloud. Yeah, it's all
Your own one, yeah.
yes, it's all whirling around in there, and every so often, a whole bunch of these things get connected, and this fully formed thought just drops out, and it's like,
Mm,
oh,
yeah.
so the common law thing connects to the flat Earth, which connects to the medical system, which connects to this, and then all of a sudden you've got this amazing, original thought,
And it's a
and
picture that's starting to form a bigger picture, looking at the
yeah.
bigger picture. And it's like the more you stand back and the more you put it all together, the more the picture starts to form and you start going, okay. And it builds the more human interaction that we're having with people as individuals, the more it's starting to form for people. And I do feel again that that's going towards social acceptance of this conversation.
The
All of these
point,
conversations are going against the things that we're taught as fact. We're
sure.
taught as fact, all of these things.
The point is, there's nothing special about me. I'm just a normal bloke just doing this stuff, and it's available to anybody. And with me, I mean, I'm not an angel or a saint or angel. I don't like using that word, but I'm not a saint or anything.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with this system as well. In fact, I've been helping people now for the last 5 or 6 years now, doing it for free, and trying not to use this money stuff. Just this last week, I've literally been struggling with this idea of just going back into the matrix for a little while, because you've been involved in this actually, Roxanne. You saw when I got that electric unicycle thing. Um, I actually, for the first time in 6 years, had some fun. I mean, just me fun, you know.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
sat and I
It's almost
wasn't.
like ignorant bliss, isn't it? It is a little bit of like,
Yeah,
it's almost like you've got on day release a little bit. I felt like that with it as well. When I managed to get the hang of it, I was like, this is like sliced bread. I don't even know what to say about this. It's just fun right about now. It's no preconceived concept. It was just sheer, clean fun. It felt like
yes.
unadulterated. I don't need to feel guilty about this. I'm giggling like a little kid, and I felt innocent. It was like innocent fun. Yeah,
Innocent, and it was also that I learned a skill. I learned a brand new
yeah,
skill,
yeah.
and I got that rush of
Euphoric. It's
achievement
a euphoric feeling,
that I
definitely.
had I haven't had since I was a child. You know,
That's
when
it.
learning
That's
to
it.
ride
It
my bike
makes
for
you
the
feel
first
like a,
time.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and now that I've learned the limitations of riding that thing, yeah, um, I want, and now I really want the a better one that I can
Mhm.
actually, actually really make use of, because
Mhm.
it's going to be really handy to use it.
Mm.
But it costs like 1,200 quid. For me, I literally, because I just want, just wanted this one thing for myself. I was actually considering going back in the Matrix
Mm.
to try and get a bit of money to get this thing, but I can't do it. I thought about it, and I was really sort of really, yeah, but I can't. I literally can't do it. Once you come out of the Matrix, you really can't go back in it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
so,
understand that.
but I just wanted that one thing for myself.
Oh no, I feel your pain on that. I mentioned it earlier. There's so many things that you have to do to navigate this system that question my morals daily. There are decisions I have to make daily where I'm like, you know what, if I do that, yeah, this situation might not be as stressful, but what's left for me in the bigger scheme of things with that? And
Yeah,
yeah, it's not like you said, once you start detracting from the system, you realize what a disease it is and how ill it makes you. And the
mm,
stress, and panic, and the anxiety, and that saying of more money, more problems is true. The
yeah,
more responsible you become for things and responsibility for things as far as legalities are concerned, again, is another thing that we've got hindering our lives, which hinders most people's lives to some degree, of responsibilities that they've had to legally take on through no fault of their own, that are there every morning when they wake up. Before they even go to the bathroom and wash their face in the morning, they're panicking before they've even dealt with the first task, because they can't even have a cup of tea without thinking, wow, how am I going to get through the next week? How am I going to get through the next month? What's going to happen when this happens? And I feel that it's constantly there to keep you in fear, to make you submit, because
well,
but most people are only 2 or 3 months away from losing their house if it all goes wrong.
not
That's
even two
something
or
that
three
shocks
months.
me.
Not even 2 or 3
That's
months.
something that's shocking. Not.
Literally, the way the banks are now. Yeah,
Mm,
if you miss one mortgage payment, they'll be on you.
mm,
Yeah.
mm,
So
mm.
so it's not even months anymore. It's maybe a month and a half at most,
Yeah.
and most people are just one serious issue, one serious problem away
Mm,
from disaster,
mm.
and we're going to see more and more people. I don't like to be pessimistic and all that, but we're going to see more and more people falling foul of this system,
Yeah.
and not being able to continue in the fantasy,
Yeah.
because
Which
it
is
is all
why,
a fantasy.
yeah, that's why I think it's important that even if others have learnt late, to show others early, so that some other people can avoid making the same elementary mistakes that other people have made navigating the system.
Mm.
Because I feel like the system's coming for everyone. No one gets off. No one gets off.
Exactly.
Two sure things in life:
Exactly.
death and the taxman, right?
Yeah.
We're all going to
We're
die,
all,
and the taxman's going to have a word with us all before we do. So, you know,
if you're
yeah,
not part
go.
of the club, if you're not part of the club, right, you're
Mm,
fair game.
hmm.
You're collateral damage. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're literally going after one particular nation, one nation in particular, but they don't care about collateral damage. So you might identify with the elite controllers, but if you're not part of their bloodline, yeah, they'll toss you aside just as easy as everyone else.
Correct. Correct.
So
I do hope a lot of what we've said today resonates with a lot of people. I mainly hope that this conversation will reignite people's pursuit of truth with the topics that we've discussed.
if I want to get one thing across, that
Yes, please.
I want people to realise that they've got more power, when dealing with this system than they think they do. And the one thing I want to talk about here is about contracts.
Yes.
Okay. Most of your life, you're actually entering into contract with various bodies, government and corporations and stuff. Most of the time you don't realize it. When you buy some software or something, or sign up to some app or whatever.
Right.
At the beginning it says here are our terms and conditions. Do you accept the terms and conditions? Most people don't even read them. They just say, yeah, accept
just
it,
go
and
click.
Yeah,
or sign.
that's a contract. Yeah, you've just entered into a contract. But the thing about a contract is that it's a two-way street. You can look for a contract and decide, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like the other, and I'm going to write in what I do want in this contract. Okay, so you can cross out what you don't like, and you can write in what you do like. Yeah, and the idea is you send that contract back, they look at it, they negotiate, and eventually you have a contract you both agree with, and then you can go forward. Okay, now in this system they assume that you're not going to read the contract, you're just going to accept it, and but it works the other way, because when you give the contract back to them, they assume you just signed it, they're not going to read it. So when I first came back to England, I needed to get a bank account, and so I went to the bank, and I got their application form, and I went through it. They said, "Oh, yeah, sign this." I said, "You know what? I'm going to take it home. I'm going to read it, and I'll bring it back tomorrow." So I read through it, and I crossed out what I didn't like. There were some charges that they were going to say they were going to charge me for certain things. I crossed them out. Right, and I wrote in a couple of things that I wanted in that contract. I initialed them. I initialed where I crossed it out, and folded it back up, and I gave it to them. They didn't even look at it. I opened up the bank account, and so on and so on. So when they came to charge me for certain things, I told them I'm not paying it, and they said, "Well, you have to." I said, "No, I don't, because it's not in our contract." They said, "Yes, it is." I said, "Well, go and look at the contract again. You'll see I didn't accept it." So they had to go back on it, and I said, "Well," and that's it. They couldn't charge me.
Wow.
Now we all have that power, because it's literally you're entering into contract with somebody. It's supposed to be fair and equitable. Yeah.
And you would think we would maybe be informed about things like this within ourselves. We would have got ourselves informed about this, but me, for one, I haven't.
Of course not. You're not meant to. You're meant. There's a maxim in law that says, "Let he who would be deceived be deceived." If you will allow yourself to be deceived, then that's your business. Yeah. Just because they don't tell you that you can do this. If you can go and look at contract law, you can see plain as day that you've got the ability to change a contract. Yeah, and as long as both parties agree on it, then great. So it comes down to your ignorance, because it goes back to the education system that they gave you.
Right.
They didn't bother to tell you that you have the
No,
power
they leave
to
out
change
the small print. They leave out the
Yes.
small print. Yeah.
They leave out lots of stuff so that you
you can't inform yourself.
You can't inform yourself, and
Yeah.
you bumble through the world, giving away your power, giving away your signature, giving away your energy to this system without realizing it.
Not on at all. I would implore myself, for one, and everybody else watching, to go and inform yourself on this, because this is affecting everyday life. This is affecting how people are navigating through life. I, for one, have probably made life a lot more difficult for myself than I need to, just by submitting to these things and not informing myself. So I would strongly implore people to do so. And thank you so much for sharing this information. And I know you may have said it before, but I don't think there can ever be enough times to repeat this information, because I feel there'll always be someone listening that hasn't heard it before. And even though even at Speaker's Corner, we have so many conversations that are a repetition, but there's always someone there with ears that haven't heard it before. And I feel that that's where my passion lies, in just someone having been brought to the water who up until that moment didn't know there was any water there. And when I hear someone going, "I've not heard that before," wow, I always took that as a given. I know that it's worth it, because what can you do if you're not informed?
Right.
That's what's not fair, is that people are living their whole life born into a modern day Sodom and Gomorrah type of situation, giving the worst false idol to hold dearly to their heart. And then when they depart here, they depart thinking they left a spinning ball.
Yeah.
To me, that's heinous. That's probably the most heinous thing you can do to someone, is let them live their whole reality as a lie.
Right. Well, on that note, I have a couple of I have a few videos on my channel. One of them is when I was exercising my right to travel, and I got stopped by the police.
I love that one.
Now,
Brilliant.
if you look at the comments, you'll see most of the comments are from muggles who have no idea what I'm trying to do. And they just think, "Oh, you're stupid. Why don't you just get yourself a taxi and all that stuff?" Now, if anyone's just new to that topic and has listened to this whole talk we've just done, go back and watch those videos, and perhaps you'll understand what I was actually trying to do. They took my car, and they did whatever they wanted to do with it.
So that's what you're saying. The court case is the kind of finale for what happened there in the long run. The long run was, but it was on a detail. You kind of won the battle, and then they won the war, in that sense.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's you realise you're in a system of slavery. Correct. You are in a system of slavery. Correct. And just because you think you got yourself a car, you got a house, and that you're free, you're not free. No. And people look at that video and say, "Oh, you're stupid. You lost a car. You lost this expensive car, and you lost out."
There's it's like, if you're still stuck on the materialism of losing a car proving a point, you've not really got the principle of this whole conversation. So I would definitely, if you're just looking into this and you've not really got the context of some of the bits and pieces we're talking about, I am going to signpost you to that directly from this video. So below will be a selection of links, and I will have annotations above those links to direct you to, i.e. Freeman of the Land, common law, exercising your right to travel, and do you know who we are? Do we know who we are? All of these topics encompass into the conversation we've had about the global eye. And I don't just mean the globe as in the ball that we've been taught on. Everything that comes into the globalization of what we've been indoctrinated with comes into all of these subjects. And in the previous videos, part 2 and part 1, I've tried to more or less cover a starter conversation for the more landmark content that's on Dave's channel. Because, as I said, this man has done miles and miles of research and taken inundated amounts of time out of his life to selflessly try and investigate these things and get as far down the road as he possibly can. And then he's sharing this information with us. So I would implore as much of you as possible, if you haven't done so already, please slow down and take an hour to 90 minutes to just try and look at this information and see what you can do to utilize it and to inform other people, because that's where we're going with this. The conversation starter. Once you're informed, you can go and conversate with people about it. And like myself, I can't speak for anyone else, I was moderately informed and couldn't really hold my own in a conversation about it. But in looking how other people are so enthusiastic and looking into it, I'm going, hold on, I'm going to utilize that and now delve back in where I left off. So, as I said, I hope this has resonated with a lot of people watching. And if you're first time watching, I would implore you to go back and watch part 2 and part 1, where there's a lot of description links in there as well. And Dave, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out over the last few weeks to go through these subjects with me. Monumental amount of effort from you, and I just want to kind of give you some appreciation for that, for everything that you're doing. It's such a selfless act to do everything that you're doing for the truth. I, for one, am glad the truth's got you on its side, and I know a lot of other people watching are as well. Super looking forward to going Speaker's Corner too.
Me too. And yeah, as I said, nothing special about me. I'm just Dave from Basildon. You know, so you know,
I love
we're all
that.
got
I
the
love
same
that.
power.
We're all on a level. We're all on the same level. And I feel that, you know, for those of us that have put our heads above the parapet and we're happy to talk about this in public with our government names on a camera and go, look, this is who I am and this is how I feel. I feel that we're advocates for people that don't have it within them right now to step out in public, because it's not for everybody. I understand that it's not for everybody, and that's why I'm trying to sharpen my tools and hone my conversation and make it far more informed, because I'm not stopping. I'm going to carry on having the conversation, as I know a lot of us are going to do, because the social acceptance needs to happen. They need to stop teaching kids lies.
If you think about it, in previous ages, there were heroes. There were people that you know, we look at in history books and go, wow, he did that. You know, the point is, in this day and age, we don't have heroes anymore. There aren't any. You know, if you look back, if you found a book from 1,000 years from now, who would you put in that book? There's nobody from this day and age you'd actually put in that book. You know, so the point is, it's us.
Yeah.
We, the ordinary
and for
people
me,
here.
as long as my children don't grow up and have children that have children and they turn around and go, "Wow, Grandma Roxanne knew and she just didn't do anything. She just sat back and took it like the rest of them." I don't want my great grandkids to hear about great Grandma Roxanne who just sat there and did nothing and let the deep state carry on shafting us. I was trying to look for a nice word to say there, but shafting us is the best one I can come out with. But we're getting mugged off daily.
If you're you know, if you're watching this, and you feel like you're supposed to feel in this society that you've got no power, you know, why should I bother, because you know it's just little old me. Well, no, you are much more powerful than you believe you are. Yeah, this world is a lot smaller than you think, and you are much bigger in it than you believe you are. So you know, you could come up, you could decide, I'm going to make a video about something, and what you make that video about can touch a few people, and it becomes a ripple effect that could change the entire course of the world. So you know, you are much more powerful than you believe you are. So you know, take that away with you.
Well said. Well said. I couldn't have said it any better myself. And I do hope that resonates with you watching as well, whether you're in the chat room or whether you're watching this on a playback. I really, really hope there's something that we've touched on in this subject that resonates with you. Dave, thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to put the link for your channel, your website, and all of the videos we've talked about in the description. And I would implore, if anyone has any questions, please pop them in the comments section, and I will be sure to try and forward them on to Dave, and I'll try and get them answered for you.
And if anyone's got a 9-bot one, you know, electric unicycle, they want to handle.
That's it. We're going to put a call out. I'm actually going to put the name of it in the bottom of the screen right now. I want to implore anyone, if you've had your run on it and you don't want to play with it anymore and you've got it sat in your shed, there's a guy right there called Dave that really wants it. It will go to a good home. He will have a good use of it. He will be on it every day, preferably the one with the long range and the big charge, so you can actually, you know, get places on it. But Dave will put it to good use. And if there's someone out there, please do get in contact with him, because he's got his arms open, ready and waiting for it.
Arms wide. Yeah.
Arms wide open. My darling, thank you so much. And thank you to everybody that's in the chat room and on playback for taking the time out to have a listen to what Dave and myself have been talking about today. This has been My Pursuit of Truth with Dave Murphy, allegedly, AKA. Thank you so much. Love and respect to you and to everyone in the chat room. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.